Hello, scholars. Long time no see. I hope you guys have had a good time getting settled into your fall semester. It should be just about time for your teachers to start assigning you those papers. So I wanted to show you one of my favorite online hacks for finding good information to include in your papers as you're writing them. So this is one of my favorite sites to use. It's called Google Scholar. So you may or may not know the difference between a database and a search engine, but Google Scholar is actually a search engine. A database would be something like what your library might have. So for example, if you go to Smith University, which is a nice generic name, I'm sure that's a real university somewhere, but we're just going to call it Smith University as a generic name. There might be a library at Smith University that you could go to, and that particular library at Smith University, they're going to pay money to a specific database in order to have access to all of the journal articles and information that has been digitally recorded in that database, because information is not, unfortunately, always free. And so in order to access the information, sometimes there's a little bit of a paywall there, okay? There's lots of different databases. There's EBSCOhost is a really good kind of generic one. There's one called ERIC that's great for people who are interested in educational information. There's one called CINAHL, CINAHL, which is great for nursing students. There's one called Medline, which is great for medical students. So basically, each one of these databases is going to have tons and tons of information that they just kind of keep within their specific repository. Google Scholar, here shown on my screen, is a search engine in that it's not going to hold the information in the bucket, but rather what it's going to do is it's going to reach into the buckets. It's going to look and see what's in there, and it's going to say, hey, if you go over to EBSCOhost, you can find that article. Or if you go over to CINAHL, you can find this article. Now, whether or not you have access to those databases depends on if you have access through your school or other institution. So let me show you how to hack into how to use really Google Scholar in a efficient way. Now, if you click on my profile, you would think this, I make this mistake all the time. It feels like this is where I need to go to set up my school's information, but actually this is not where I want to go for this. This is where I would go if I'm somebody who is already a published person and I want credit. I want to be found on this database. So I would fill in my information here. But actually what I want to do is I want to just go into my settings before I really use Google Scholar. And so I will show you what the magic will do on this here in just a minute. But first, we're going to set up our account. So if you go to settings and click on account, obviously this is assuming you're already signed into Google with your Google profile. I've got mine up here. And so here I'm already signed in with my email address. And what I'm going to do is to add my accounts, my library links. So I'm going to go to library links, and I want to show these specific buckets, the things that I have access to. Now, I'm a student, let's say, at Walden University. So I'm going to type in Walden, if I can type, Walden University. So I know that if Google Scholar fetches me information from Walden, I can click on that link and I can open it within my own university's site, and I'll be able to see those articles. Now, I also happen to teach sometimes at Ozark Technical Community College. So I'm going to put that in there because we have a database as well. And I think it's Ozarks now that I'm thinking about it. So let's try that again. There we go. So I'm going to also include that. Now, this is a great feature if you happen to be a student and a teacher, or your brother's a student at another school or whatever, and you have legally obtained access to maybe use that library in some capacity. And you can put multiple libraries in here and really tap into a huge repository of information. So once you've got your library set up, you're going to save that, and then we're going to go back and we're just going to go to the front page here, Google Scholar. Now, the simplest way to do this is just to type in your search query. Let's say that I want to write a paper about a philosophy of nursing. Okay. There's lots of philosophies in here, and I'm just going to type in philosophy of nursing, and I'm going to click search. Now, you'll notice back here, by the way, whoops, hello, that's my screen capture. Okay. If you'll notice back here that there's articles and there's case law. So case law is going to be really good as a limiter if you are in any kind of like legal schooling. But for most things, you're just going to use articles. Now, this is just going to fetch everything that Google Scholar can see, that this search engine can view, can see is out there. And so it's everything. Look, this one here was from 1997. This is from 1980. And they're all in different kinds of databases. So here's a couple that I can actually view and read the whole things at Walden's library. This one is at academia.edu. This looks to be a free resource, which is great. Some of these things are going to be behind paywalls. So if I click on them, you know, you might get information about the source, but you're going to have to do a little bit more digging to find the source to actually pay to read it. So I'm going to try to avoid those things and really just stick to the ones that I can access at my own library. These are really great over here, ways to limit. So you're probably going to have your teacher to say you need to use sources within the last 5 years. And so since it's 2018, I want to keep it from whatever date. So from 2013 to latest, to later, to present. So I'm going to click search. And then that'll make sure that nothing is older than 2013 as I'm searching. So there we go. And you can see that I can find my different sources at different places. Thank you, Walden, for providing such nice sources for me. So another thing that you can do is you can create an advanced search. So this is going to be a little bit more like if you were going to actually go into your library's database and do a Boolean type of a search where you're including limiters like and, or without. And so you're going to put in what you want here. Let's say I'm doing a nice nursing paper on catheterization of patients. And so I want catheter infection. I don't want catheter infections, but I want to write a paper on one. But I want to make sure that it's going to talk about the elderly. I do not want to talk about pediatric patients. So I'm going to put that in there. And that's going to help with my limiter. So I'll also limit it to 2013 or later. I can limit by journal. So I'll do my search that way. And that will also kind of help with that, making sure that you're getting articles that you can, that are a little bit more specific rather than having, 100,000 results. That's limited me down to 17,000, and I can continue to limit and limit. I'm scrolling to make sure that these are things that I actually have access to. Let me show you another kind of fun thing on here. You can set up a Google alert. This is great for PhD students who you're going to be constantly doing research on the same topic over and over and over again. Also great for master's level students who are writing thesis. So you're going to create an alert because your teacher is going to want you to continue to update that thesis or that dissertation over and over and over again, month after month, with new information pertaining to your topic. So you want the most relevant stuff that's being published today. And if you write your paper, let's say in January, by October, when you're still using your paper for your projects and whatever, by October, there might have been 8 people who released new papers that related to your topic. And so you want an alert anytime that something comes up, particularly pertaining to your topic. So my topic happens to be students with physical disabilities in an online classroom. And so I want to get alerts whenever somebody writes a paper relating to that topic. So my number of results, I can show 10 or up to 20. It doesn't matter. I am going to set up the email that I want that to be sent to, and I'll create an alert. And so anytime that there's that information that's going to come in as a new, somebody just uploaded a new article had to do with that, then I'm going to get information on that. This is also really great if you just have a passion about something and you just want to always be up to date on the latest and greatest advancements. For example, let's say you have a family member with pancreatic cancer and you want to know, like, what are they coming out with? What are the trials doing? So you can set up an alert that way. I'm going to show you how to do a search all the way through to finding the article. So we're going to do catheter infection, and let's do prevention, and let's find that at Walden. So what it's going to do is it's going to, if I click right here, it will show me where to go to get the article basically within my own university. So I would put in my sign-in information, and then that will open it up in Walden's paid for database. This should work similarly depending on where you go to school or what school you have access to. So you can see that this was in the Medline bucket, the Medline database, and Walden has paid for access to all of the information that's in the Medline bucket. So we're going to click on that Medline database, and then it will bring up the actual article, and there's your abstract information, and here's the actual PDF. So I can actually click on that PDF and open that up and read it. I'm not going to do that here because, again, pay information, but that's how I would actually get to the article. So I hope you enjoyed this quick Google Scholar tutorial. You guys have a great semester, and we'll talk to you later. Get to click below to subscribe. There should be like a little bell. I'm trying to get new viewers. I have had 0 responses or feedback or comments, nothing so far, just crickets, which is fine. This is just a hobby for me and I love it. But I would love to get some feedback from someone. So click and subscribe. And you'll get notifications whenever I make a new video, new tutorial, and leave me a comment. Let's see who's out there.